conservative. Page what? Only conservative. Page what? February 12th, 2019, page 8, 9, Omar's request for a proposal on insurance needs best return compared scope review.
You wanted to,
One of the lowest to get the best deals for us, yes. Oh, yeah.
thank you, that's on the to-do.
Thank you.
Okay, I need to.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
I just want to state on the March, where is it now? On the February 12th. Oh, no, okay, no, I'm all good now, never mind, it's okay. Or, yeah, right here, Friday, March 1st. I was in Winnipeg that time. So if you can put that in the minutes, Nancy. Friday, March 1st, I was in Winnipeg. So if you can just put regrets, having included there.
Yeah, usually specials, we don't do that. We
Oh,
have regulars.
oh, I see, okay,
That's what we would always, know anyways, if you know,
okay, thank you.
not special.
Okay, any other questions on the minutes? Hearing none, moved by a motion by Mr. Kevin Jebb, seconded by Mr. John Escapo, all in favor. Motion carried, thank you. Okay, next item is the Chief Executive Officer reports. Rhonda, you got the floor.
I believe this was sent out also.
Yes, it was.
I'm open for questions. Just like to bring your attention to a few things first, though. Line number 6. That one is still in progress. And then on line number 17, page 1. That's been noted in the job analysis process, and it's also being noted in the development of the case management approach, so you're aware. So it's still in progress. And then line number 26. I do believe Nicole Mead is working with Glenn on that one, so that's still a work in progress.
Okay, just on that note, if I can add, Long Plains First Nation Chief Lynn Speeches is coming to present to the PBDC board tomorrow for an investment opportunity for a hotel complex, which would include a conference center and a water park on their Madison land. So they asked folks in as a first right of refusal for investment opportunity. And this goes back to what Katea Papersanya said, was to build something in Winnipeg for our patients and people that need to travel to Winnipeg, so that instead of paying landlords in Winnipeg, we can pay ourselves, and depending on the price, we can negotiate, and also more than likely have to subsidize for the quality of care and the environment for our members that go there for stays in on Winnipeg. So we'll see what the presentation is going to look like. That'll be brought forward to Pete from PBDC to us for a recommendation. And more than likely, it will require an investment that we can use from our FNFA and make that investment so that it works if the numbers work. So we'll get their due diligence to make a recommendation to us. That was it. Remember, you at one time you had talked about getting a hotel or something built in Winnipeg? Long Plains First Nation is bringing us an opportunity to share with them, and I forgot how many rooms it's going to be. It's going to be a big hotel built in Winnipeg on their reserve land, urban reserve by Polo Park, which will be a hotel, a water park, and a conference center. So they're going to present it to PBDC, and then that'll be brought to our table once they review it. So that's part and parcel of that particular item there. And is that? Okay,
Okay, on line number 34, the 911 service agreement. We do have a copy of the agreement, Carla has it, and we're just waiting for how that's going to be affected by the decision for policing. And then,
Just on that note, because we'll be reviewing that, actually, that's a decision we have to make today, right? On the, until the First Nation Police Service.
yes.
So that'll be incorporated after the fact, but it's a service that's above and beyond, I think.
Yes.
Okay, moving right along.
Okay, and then on line number 52, the CCP, there was a request for a letter that was to be approved by the OE Board of Directors. I'm not entirely sure if that went through.
What was that in regards to?
John Paul made a presentation about something about the CCP and requested a letter of support.
So we'll get an update from him when he's back then, no problem. So I'll just do that as a running list.
More meetings at 4:30.
Oh, okay, so they'll look at it today at 4:30.
Yeah, just submission.
And then on line number 55, just give you a quick update. I did meet with Tommy Constant, and we did set up a case management meeting through OHA, and that's going to be ongoing. And line number 66, the last page, the website, I believe PRO has been working on that. The development of an event calendar, it's not quite ready yet.
Okay, just on that note, Tara, what we're gonna need you to do sooner rather than later is on the website and our communications, if you haven't already, is get our powwow date on there, the Opaska activities, and the big bingo. Those are three key ones that we want to promote, and we'll come to a bingo after, because how the sales are going on.
Our 3 days.
And the treaty days, and that's the
That's
beginning days.
What is that? The creative one?
That's
May.
for cultural, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then what about next week too, when we're doing all those treaty cards?
That one should be put out, to it is being advertised, but we should put it on our site as well.
Yeah.
These are just events, community events.
Yeah, but even this one, because I know
Yeah.
people have asked for treaty cards, get that one out on a separate one outside of the events cover on this treaty card distribution next week.
It's a new card, say,
The rest thing.
No.
Yeah.
When is it?
next week,
All next week.
so the three asks that will
Yeah,
volunteer.
there's been posters circulating on
Yeah.
CCP and we've circulated, but I can make a statement
Put it through all of our digital,
and send through staff.
everything, yeah.
Everywhere.
And put that one emphasis on the treaty card one, with a signal from O&O's office to remind people that don't have to come on and get it. The only question is the ones that aren't mobile, to see if we have a mobile operation go to their homes, so that ones that are disabled, find out about that. Rhonda? Yeah, thank you. Okay, moving right along. Everybody got information? Okay, any questions on the CEO's report? Hearing none, can I get a motion to accept the CEO's report? So moved by Commissioner Kevin Jett, seconded by Commissioner Cory Lawson, all in favor? Carried, thank you.
I think it's already got that, you're scratching your head.
I think my peripheral vision kind of hard.
That's why I hired her.
Okay, moving right along. We're at business. The first one is the letter, Aboriginal Day School class action versus Her Majesty the Queen. And this is, I think, part of the presentation we had this morning.
Yeah.
So we know what we have to do there, so this is information, so we'll carry on. with
Whether
the
we-
given.
Well, like one of the things they should tell us is that whether we should proceed with it in view of the fact that there may be an agreement. Why waste money on a lawyer, right?
That's right,
If there's an agreement.
exactly. So with that, planning you're gonna do, Ronnie, you'll bring that back for an update?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So that's already discussed some information this morning.
38, right?
Number two, VCR number 19-009, Banishment Appeal Committee. Is this Vice News? If it is, then she's not present.
No, it came from BDA.
BDA?
BDA, yeah,
Oh, okay.
we did, it was reviewed at BDA and it was recommended to be sent here for approval then.
Okay, so we want to read that out, Rhonda? It's behind you there.
Go ahead, Ron, I can't see from here.
Okay.
Use your voice.
From the BDA Board of Directors, Banishment Appeal Policy, Implementation, Band Council Resolution 19009. Attached is a scanned copy of the OCN Banishment Appeal Policy that was approved by O&O on February 25th, 2019. In order to implement the policy, the following is required. Need to appoint an appeal committee consisting of 3 Onaschigawa, appointed by BCR for a term of 1 year, and designate 2 others as alternatives to act in the event of a conflict of interest. Quorum for the committee will be 3. Further, they are to appoint 1 ex officio non-voting member with experience or expertise in gang issues, review panels, or such further other backgrounds such as law, police, social work, community outreach to advise and assist the committee. Further, the committee needs to designate a secretary who is not a committee member to carry out specific tasks and ensure minutes are taken of all meetings and interviews of the committee, maintain and organize files, and maintain confidentiality. The secretary will be the admin support to the committee. It is suggested that both the ex officio and secretary be current employees of OCN, as they would be within the administration and on OCN payroll. Employees from the reorganized O&O Secretariat could be delegated the duties. Once the committee is appointed, they could proceed to put the necessary processes in place. So the recommendation is that Oniga Numina Onaschigawa approve Band Council Resolution 19009, appointing 3 Onaschigawa and 2 alternate Onaschigawa to sit as the Banishment Appeal Committee, and that O&O appoint 1 ex officio non-voting member, Shelley St. Clair, who has experience or expertise in gang issues, review panels, or further other backgrounds to advise and assist the committee. Is that it?
Are we filling
That's
in, are we filling the names today?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
we need to fill in the names, and then we'll send these earlier.
Okay, so knowing that, are there any volunteers on this table right now that want to fill those 3 spots? Okay, let's go with John, that's the capital. I'm going to recommend Vice Egan again for flood because she has experience in there as well. And then 1 other one. Who's not here? Who do we also
Shorty.
want pointer that's not here?
Shorty,
Or Dale.
Okay, who, Shorty, what does he sit on right now?
BDA.
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 And this is coming from which?
It's coming from BDA.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that one, because you already sits there anyways, so let's put them on there then?
Yeah.
As part of that 3rd one. Okay, that makes sense. And 2 alternate on that to go.
Me and Dale would be alternate.
Okay, so Dale and Edwin will be the alternates. There goes it, and then was this discussed with Shelley as well, _ Shelley?
And I made that motion for that thing.
Yes.
Okay, so with that, then, we have a motion, so moved as per the recommendation by Mr. Edwin Jeb, second by Mr. Alcomar Thompson, all in favor?
I just have a question, where's the money coming from? To pay for the extra?
It won't cost anything.
Sorry, we have a motion on the table, we'll have that question after, so Laurie, are you voting in favor? Okay, all carried, thank you. So,
It's an appeal
Laurie?
committee.
Yeah, there is no cost to this, it's just a committee,
Yeah.
to just review the banishment list that come from Harrison Peer
Yeah.
Justice.
Oh, okay.
So there's no financial resources other than your valuable time.
We get paid all day long.
Okay, John, any questions, or you just had it?
I know over time it's gonna, you know, if we're gonna rehash this, we have to make sure that it sticks to the next chief of council. Like I said before, when we make an effort such as this to try to clean up what we need to clean up here, it kind of gets in a way diluted here after a new election, because the people take that stance, you know, and no, this is who voted for me, so that's the mental stance that they take. And everything from there just kind of takes a nosedive. Again, to protection of your family, it plays a role as to how you think and how you banish people. It's it's always been good that, you know, we start, issues such as this, and then they take a nosedive because of protection of family, threats to family, threats to your friends, you know, so it has to have a hard stance on it, and it's something that needs to somehow flow hard into the next level.
Just on that note before I come to order, and that's where we rely on our CATEAC and our Senate and our dollars to remind future leaders as governments change, that they're reminded of what their role and function is, and what office that they commit to going forward. But also recognizing we'll have a new police strategy falling into place very quickly, and so we'll build that into the overall community safety fund. But ultimately, we gotta eliminate people pushing their own personal agendas at this table. And it has to be in the interest of OPASWAC as a whole, and this table has reflected that as we've been seeing the progress based on that approach. And we'll just remind our leaders of the future that to maintain that position as we move forward. That's the best we can do, because the fact of the matter is, the leadership of the day can go in a direction that they ultimately vote in favor of, and it's really you as Oneshka that vote in that direction, the way this canoe moves down the river, so to speak.
I was just saying, based on restorative justice, and that when we got there, we're not allowed to vote, because we're not allowed to have politics on the issues on that part of it. And then to think about having counselors on this committee and making a recommendation or bringing forth, I think we still have that political pull, I would think, because again, you're dealing with families and on issues and that. And then based on what we discussed at the beginning of our term, we said we have to look at best practices, put criteria on a position, then advertise it, but having external component to, so he's neutral in it. Said we're all family here in one way or another, and it's gonna have a bearing on how, who's allowed to what comes in. So as I was thinking, discussion, that's what I was thinking about. So I think this one should be relooked at. You know, we should rescind that motion and relook at it and put a criteria in place, put it out there, get somebody outside the community to have that neutral bearing on it.
I think what we can do as a group here, we can start that process, make some recommendations, come back to this table and make sure that we cover those holes. I understand what you're saying, but we have to get it moving right now. We have to get it moving now, and it's something that, you know, in terms of leadership, I too feel that way. But I think this group that we're putting together, we can make those recommendations to make those changes. It's not exactly, we're not going to exactly jump into banishing people. I think it's going to need some work internally before we really finalize it.
Yeah, and then that's the key, is we just gotta get it started and then do it. It's almost like, start setting and formalizing that process to capture what you're saying. A little bit before you then back to Omar.
So those are my same thoughts, so I thought I was gonna ask, were they consulted, did they consult with the Restorative Justice Committee and the manager? I think that should have happened, because I know when we dealt with past dealings in regards to having individuals removed from our reserve, the Restorative Justice Committee just forwards it on straight to Chief and Council, because they don't want to be held liable.
There's a recommendation.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll go to Rhonda, Nancy, then Omar.
I just wanted to add in that part of that policing strategy process will address some of those concerns and map out what those processes will be, because right now the linkages aren't there, we know that. But this committee will be part of that overall process, so we can build it that way.
Okay, so based on what Omar says, we should get a time frame put on that in the next 90 days or so. But we need to have this at least so there's action being taken for a time being till we get those formal terms of reference built into it.
Okay.
Does that work?
A draft?
Well, I don't know. Well, you know, this piece, but with that overall plan, what you just stated, when that can come forward, because we're gonna have a transition of police services potentially, and making those linkages, so that's gonna take time, so just keep us updated to address Omar's comments.
Okay.
Because we wanna make sure there's credibility on this process and not just a reaction to it.
Okay, so what you're asking, just to be clear, what you're asking for is progress reports?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me be clear.
I want to give a directive after Nancy.
Hey, Nancy, and then Omar. Go ahead, Nancy.
This is housekeeping.
Yeah.
house, you know, there's a lot of old lists.
Yeah.
Nobody has one list.
Yeah.
It's all over OCN.
You're gonna centralize it all into one.
Yeah,
house.
that's what this is gonna do, and there's a lot of people on that old list that are on OCN, so we're just trying to clean it up, that's it.
What it does, it gives teeth to the process so that we're not making a decision, there's no action behind it. We gotta start getting some action behind it and give it some credibility. But it'll be a work in progress. People,
First, I want to acknowledge Nancy for her feedback. Thank you. I was gonna say, based on the discussion we're having, like I said, bring a time frame in place so that transaction happens. So if you're looking at end of June, then you know that June has that deadline to hand over the whatever they need to do. Or in July, because we are going into election this year, so at least you put some time date on there in June, at least it's that you get ready to clear up
it was
the
that.
right transaction.
So do an update every 30 days and see, try and get it complete by that time, because the political schedule will play out. That was it?
No, I'm not clear.
It's
You want
just
progress
every
reports
30
every
days.
30 days? Okay, and then you want a complete policing strategy completed by?
Within 90 days. Can you, is that possible?
No,
How much time do you think realistically?
End of June?
How is 90 days?
well, hopefully by the summer.
June, July, August, July?
And
July.
I'll say tentatively July, end of
Okay,
July.
end of July, because then we go into election mode and we
Yes.
go into index season.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. And was it? Omar, does that answer your?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, so with that, we've got that motion carried and moving forward with the update progress reports. Thank you. Okay, the LAB FNLM, First Nations Lands Management, A-to-A leasing and the establishment of a formal CMHC policy. I talked to Edith yesterday, and I sit on this board, and this is good for Opaskwayak as we move forward, and this is a process that they're rolling out right across First Nations for those that are part of the Lands Advisory Board. Just on that note, I sit on that board on behalf of Manitoba First Nations, for those that are members. And what's happening right now is there's a shift happening where there's what I call the Indian Act bands are under AFN. But those that are part of FNFA, LAB, FMB, the ones we're part of now, and all those others, we're in a whole different league now. There's 18, will be the 18th in Canada that'll be certified FMB. And what's happening, there's a rift between AFN and FMB because these ones are moving above and beyond the Indian Act, as they call it. So this becomes part of that process to get us more towards self-government. So it's a good position for Opaskwayak to support this initiative. Do you want to roll down on that, Nancy? So we really need to get a motion on this. So if you want to read it out, Nancy, please.
Framework agreement on First Nation land management, A-to-A leasing and the establishment of a formal CMHC policy. Canada has been a partner with almost 100 First Nations across the country, which has resumed governance over the reserve lands under the framework agreement on First Nation land management. This important agreement and ongoing partnership were underscored in Budget 2018, which included federal commitments of just over $100 million over 5 years for another 50 First Nations to exercise the self-government authority over their land. Unfortunately, this good news story is missing one important aspect, our relationship with CMHC. For years now, we have been seeking a formal commitment from CMHC to support what is commonly referred to as A-to-A leasing. We've discussed this issue with your officials on many occasions. We met with your offices in 2017 and even discussed the potential to establish general guidelines for the establishment of a formal CMHC policy. Time continues to lapse and we haven't had a resolution of this important issue. The A-to-A leases have proven to be a necessary and workable lease arrangement, but we need your assistance to make things better. The Land Advisory Board is a national organization advocating on behalf of First Nations which exercise self-government authority over reserve lands in accordance with the FA on FNLM. And we are ready to request that a formal CMHC policy be established regarding A-to-A leasing on reserve. A formal policy directive would assist First Nations, their legal advisors, and financial institutions in knowing under what circumstances CMHC will be willing to provide mortgage insurance, the support of housing development on reserve lands that are the subject of an A-to-A lease. A2A leasing allows persons holding individual interest in reserve lands to protect their underlying right of possession while establishing a leasehold interest that can be mortgaged. A2A leasing is an innovative approach that has been successfully used by a number of FA First Nations to protect what is often an historically important long-standing connection of a particular family to a parcel of reserve land while ensuring that a long-term marketable leasehold interest in lands can be seized by creditors in the event of failure to comply with the payment conditions under a lease. Wow. This innovative approach has, for instance, been used for several developments at the West Bank First Nation near Kelowna. These 8A leasing arrangements have been established. CMHC has been willing to provide mortgage insurance in support of housing developments under certain conditions. And most importantly, the housing developments have been established without any failure of the mortgage arrangements and without triggering an obligation on CMHC to make payments under the insurance arrangement.
That's a motion.
There has been sufficient work with developers, financial institutions, and CMHC to make it possible to establish a formal CMHC policy. This will greatly facilitate First Nations across Canada which exercise self-government over their reserve lands under the FA to move at the speed of business. Knowing with certainty under what terms CMHC would be willing to provide insurance. To operate at the speed of business is a critical component needed for success in today's marketplace. One of the reasons for the growing popularity of the FA is the reputation First Nations have gained over the years as successful self-governing authorities capable of making decisions, and in particular, leasing decisions. In view of the successful track record of A2A leasing, our preference would be to work with their officials on the wording of an agreed upon policy statement or directive which could then be published by CMHC. We also have a strong track record of partnership with Canada with respect to the FA. The FA has been amended 6 times over the past 25 years since its inception. The FA can only be amended if First Nations agree and cannot be unilaterally amended by Canada. Our First Nations greatly need your assistance in establishing a formal CMHC policy to allow mortgage insurance for A2A leasing. However, if you believe strongly that changes are needed in the First Nations Land Management Act, we would be pleased to discuss that with you at your earliest convenience. CMHC senior management has an opportunity to contribute to improve economic development for the benefit of First Nations and other communities. A jointly developed policy statement is greatly needed for the finance sector, developers, and most importantly, First Nations in Canada. We would sincerely appreciate your response and your support to making this a priority. That's from Robert Louie and Chief Austin Bear.
Okay, I sit as a representative for Manitoba on this particular board, and this is big for us because as we look at addressing our housing challenge and our housing shortage, it opens up the opportunity for private developers to come in and help alleviate some of that housing crunch that we're in. Lori, anything? Okay, so moved by Lori Laughlin to support the request by the Lands Advisory Board for support on the Streaming Agreement. First Nation Land Management A2A leasing and the establishment of a formal CBC policy. Seconded by Edwin Jeb. All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. So on that note, Rhonda, get a draft letter ready in response to support of this, and we'll follow up with exactly what wording the return. Was it? Thank you. Okay, number 4, and then we'll break for lunch. Brandon Council Resolution number 19-010, Manitoba First Nation Policing Service. From Judy Head as the BDA Coordinator, March 15, 2019. Rhonda, you want to read this, please? Give Nancy a break.
In January, West Christian met with O&O with regard to OCN's options for policing on OCN lands. Further in February, he, along with Manitoba First Nation Policing Service, he provided a presentation to O&O on what that service could offer to OCN. Subsequently, the matter was referred to the BDA office for analysis to be provided at a CCG meeting that was held on March 7, 2019. At the CCG meeting held on that date, there was consensus that OCN should obtain further information and proceed to work towards changing the OCN policing service providers. Attached is a copy of the review along with responses from Manitoba First Nations. I don't know what that stands for, MFNCPS, to fill in the missing information. The one outstanding item is a template of the agreement that will be provided with the province. So the recommendation is that O&O approve and sign Band Council Resolution 19010, that Opaskwayak Cree Nation make application under the Manitoba First Nation Policing Service Agreement to be accepted as a participating community, as such term described within, which agreement has been entered into among the Dakota Ojibwe Tribal Council Incorporated, Her Majesty the Queen in Right of Canada, as presented by the Minister of Public Safety Canada, as presented by the Minister of Justice and Attorney General for the province of Manitoba. A lot of legal. And that the terms and conditions upon which the Opaskwayak Cree Nation shall become a participating community shall be brought back before a quorum of O&O for final acceptance, whereupon notice shall be given to the RCMP Manitoba Division to terminate the delivery of its policing services to the Opaskwayak Cree Nation. So the follow-up would be that the BCR will be forwarded to Manitoba, Canada, and the MFNPS, along with a covering letter. There's two attachments, the policing review table and Band Council Resolution 19010.
Can we read back down to the recommendation, please? Questions?
No, I was gonna make a motion to go forward with this. We've had 2 presentations.
Okay, so moved by Nishigawa Kevin Judge, second by Nishigawa Omar Thompson, all in favor?
Holy God.
Carried unanimously. Yes, okay, motion carried. Just on that note, as I stated at the meeting last week, for those that weren't present, Chief Dennis Michis of Long Plain strongly endorsed them because they're now incorporating them on their op reserves as well as their community. And we'll be the first Cree community in Manitoba to move in this direction. So this is another historic move for Opaskwayak and giving us our own tour of our own First Nation police component, which is part of a healthy governing society. On that note, Pierre, please prepare a press release accordingly to that effect that we move forward. Just the fact on that last piece, Rhonda, where it says we gotta finalize some detail.
Yes.
Find
Should she
that
do
time.
that after we send a BCR the next round?
Yeah.
Because it comes back,
Yeah.
that's when she would do that.
Okay, so that'll probably be in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So just, okay, so just prepare and jot it ready to have it worded and massaged so that when it's ready with the right word, we have it ready for launch. Yep.
So just,
When it,
Sorry, then Omar, and then, Karen.
when it hits when it comes back the second time or for the last time,
Once we
I
sign
just
the
wanna
agreement, right?
well, we have to review it again, but what I'm asking for is just to see how much we're gonna, if we're gonna cost save any dollars, or if it's gonna be equal, or what we were paying for the RCMP.
Actually, just on that note, that was a question, and there was a number of questions that they answered. If anything, we're actually gonna have more resources because the bulk of our funds that we get from RCMP goes to pay off their extra costs for their pensions, et cetera.
Yeah.
So really, very little is left for actual policing, and also the rate of what we know is pushing the RCMP up. We'll get fair market value for our per square footage.
But
So early we've asked, they're actually,
that's what I'd like to see for the next time it hits us, just to see it.
we have that list that Revita was done, actually bring that.
Bring it from the RCMP and the budget that's coming forward next month.
There's no budget yet.
Or money, whatever contribution we do, and I'd like to see that, eh?
Okay, the questions that was provided by Judy to them when they clarified them, get a copy of that to Omar and Aldi and Eshigawa, so they have that as information. And then in the budgeting process, you'll see that, so we'll ask as part of it for the next presentation, how much the numbers are.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna grab a pen here quickly, but we do have on the clock here 12:04, so what I'm gonna recommend is that we take a break and we'll come back and reconvene for item number 5 at 1:15. Question, Karen?
I know you said not right away, but what am I preparing, sorry, it's a press release?
Nope, not yet, not yet.
No, I,
Just prepare, but not,
we're gonna transfer.
yes, that's what I hear you just said, but I'm asking what is my directive, what am I,
You'll work with Ron on that and Judy,
I'll let
and you'll
you
get that flushed out.
okay.
Basically moving one more step closer to small government as our own First Nation police service.
So I gotta come back at 1:15.
Okay, so on that note, with that motion carried, we'll break for lunch and reconvene at 1:15. That was it?
You would say.
Oh, you have to move mine.
Absolutely. Okay, sign signatures for
Tina,
those.
Tina.
Oh, you did that, we'll see you after
Oh,
lunch.
you got a Valentine over right
Hey.
here.
You know that detail you like? Yeah, yeah. Apply that detail when you wash it, into the washroom. When you ask for a report,
When you come back now, we might
you ask for a report,
maybe not.
apply it when you go to the washroom.